Yo, so you want to make a lo-fi track. This is going to be a beginner tutorial where everything that you see is either available included in FL Studio or you can find it online for free. First thing that we're going to start off with is finding a good instrument. A lot of lo-fi tracks use pianos or guitars, and there's a good piano that's built into FL Studio. So if you go up here to the channel rack and you left click it, and then you go here on this plus button, we're going to find what's called FL keys. So it's right here under the MISC section. So FL Keys has a lot of different presets that you can use in different types of pianos. So if you click here where it says grand piano, you're going to have a bunch of different options here. So you have piano, grand piano, Rhodes, and roto organ. What we're going to do is we're actually going to click here. We're going to left click the presets and we're going to click plain piano. You can play around with a bunch of these different presets and different functions, but you can also add effects in later on. So here's how this sounds right now. So it sounds like a basic piano. We're going to go into the chords that I put in. So to get to the chords, what you're going to do is you're going to right click here and you're going to click piano roll to pull up your notes. So here's the chords that I made without any effects on them. So to add effects, what you're going to do is you're going to click back in your channel rack. So find the instrument that you're using, go over here to what's called your mixer track, and then adjust that to one of the numbers that isn't already being used. So mine's currently on 6. Then we're going to go up here to what's called our mixer. We're going to left click, and now we have our mixer up. So if you see this number 6 up here, where it says insert 6, now we're on the piano part. So now what we can do is we can add in effects. So if we left click here, we can click a bunch of these different effects. The two that I used were reverb and delay. So if you click here, and you left click reverb, this is going to pull up some reverb for you. You can play around with these, but I already have one set up. And then the other one is delay, so I'll show you where to find that. So now if you want to delete one, you can just left click here and then click delete. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the delay. So left click again in a different slot and then click Fruity Delay 2. Awesome, so now we have our delay and our reverb. So I'm going to turn on my reverb and delay and then I'll show you what that sounds like. So if these lights are green, it means it's on. If these lights are black, it means it's not on. So if we play it with it off, here's how it sounds. And if we play them with them both on, here's how it sounds. So that extra tail end of the sound, that's from our reverb and from our delay. So let's hear the chords with those effects on. So I think the feeling of the reverb and the delay really gives it a very kind of lo-fi and vibey feel. Awesome, so the next step that we need is our drums. So we're going to go back to our channel rack, and I have both the drums and the piano in this one pattern. So I'm going to mute the piano. We do that by going over here, and we click this off, so now it's off. So now if I play this, all the drums are also off, and now the piano's off, so we're not going to have any sound. So if I play it, no sounds come out. So now I'm going to turn on the other drums and I'm going to explain to you what I did. I often find that boom bap drums are really good for lo-fi. So if you can find a free sample pack for boom bap drums, they often fit in very well for lo-fi. So there's this drum kit that I have that I've included in the description of the video. It's available for free and I find that it has really good drums. So I took all of my drums from that kit and here's the drums that I chose. So to choose a drum, what you're going to do is on the left side where your drum kit is, you're going to click to open up a section, and then you're going to click to grab one of these. So let's choose this one as an example. Sounds kind of shit, so we'll choose a different one. So we'll go to this one. Awesome. So if you like that, what you can do is you can left click and pull it into your channel rack. So now it should be in your channel rack. So now I'm going to show you my different drums. So the first drum that I used for my kick drum is the Kick Gritty 3. So here's how it sounds. Next is our clap. Next is our hi-hat. And next is our kind of second hi-hat. So here's how our kick sounds in the pattern. Next, I added the hi-hat in these specific spots. So if you click on here, if you left click, you can add notes in. And if you right click, you'll delete them. So if I wanted to delete a kick as an example, I'd right click here. And if I wanted to put it back, I'd click again. So here's the kick and the clap together. I chose these drums specifically because they have a little bit of tail end where you hear that crackling after the sound has gone. So now I'm going to play the hi-hats for you as well. It's a pretty basic hi-hat pattern, but I feel like it goes well with the kick and the clap. So here's both the hi-hats with the kick and the clap. So one thing you can do is you can also move these notes around in your piano roll. So again, if you remember like before, you're going to right click to open up your piano roll, and now you have your hi-hats here. So what I've done here on the bottom, if you can see, is I've changed the velocity of the notes. So the velocity is just how loud that note is. So if you play the pattern right now, so you can hear that the volume of these hi-hats changes, right? So they're not all kind of the same loudness. They change. So if let's say I drag this one right here really low, you're not going to hear this hi-hat very much. So let's play it now. So obviously that one hi-hat was really quiet, but if we increase it a lot, now we can hear it a lot better. So let's try that. So evidently it was a lot louder than before. So I'm going to pull that hi-hat back down. So these kind of oscillations in volume often give you a lot of what's called bounce with your hi-hats. So it feels like it's moving and it feels like you're getting some motion with that, rather than just having the same volume hi-hat hits the whole time. Now let's hear the drums with the piano chords together. Awesome. So that's going to be our main pattern. It's going to go through most of our song. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of extra stuff on top of that. So we're going to go and we're going to make a new pattern for what we're going to do next. So you see this part up here where it says pattern. We're going to left click and we're going to pull it up once. So now what this is going to be for is this is going to be for our bass. Your bass is your low frequency sounding noises. So what you're going to use for this one is you're going to use a different, what's called synthesizer on FL Studio, and we're going to choose the deep preset. So I'll show you an example of how to get there. So if you click this plus button here, and then you click citrus, now you're going to have this synthesizer pulled up. So if we left click here in the preset section, I know it can be really confusing, but just follow me. We're going to go to the bass section, and we're going to click deep. So it should be on the bottom left here. So now we should have this deep bass that we hear. So let's play it right now. Or you can play it lower. It might be hard to hear if you don't have headphones on, because without headphones it's hard to hear the right frequencies for it. But if you don't have headphones, get some, broke boy. So here's the pattern that we have for the bass. So the pattern is very simple and it just kind of follows the way that the chords change. And it's really just to fill up the sounds in your headphones. So let's play it with the drums, the piano, and the bass together. So if we see here, these are our two patterns. So we have pattern 1 and we have pattern 2. Pattern 1 is our piano chords with the drums, and then pattern 2 is our bass. So if we click here and we go to song, we'll hear this whole song together, as opposed to what we were just doing before, where we were just playing the patterns by themselves. Here you go. I think that sounds really cool, but what it's missing is it's missing kind of the high frequencies that really fill up your track. So the high frequencies tend to make it feel like there's more going on, and your high frequencies are generally for kind of your melodic lines or cool things that are playing during your song. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to add two patterns for those cool melodies. So we're going to go back to here, and we're going to pull a second pattern, and now we're going to add another instrument in. So if we go back to our channel rack, what we're going to see is we're going to see that I have this Rhodes here. So really what we're going to do is we're going to pull up another section of Citrus, because Citrus can give us some other cool instruments as well other than basses. So we're going to click here. We're going to pull up Citrus again. So you should know how to do this by now if you're paying attention. So now if you left click here, you should go to presets. And then if you go to the piano section, which is on the right side, you should see down here, it says Rhodes. Awesome. So now we have a Rhodes. So if you play around with it a little bit. So it sounds very much like a Rhodes. So now if we go to our pattern, if we go back up here and we click pattern mode, now we'll just play this pattern. So let's see what this pattern sounds like. Awesome, so that's our first melody over top, and now let's listen to that with the rest of the song. So if we click song here and we unmute this pattern, now we should hear it with the rest. So I think that sounds really cool, but we're going to add one more thing in. So if we pull up a new pattern one more time, we go back to our channel rack, we have a second Rhodes. I'm not going to show you how to get it because you should know by now, and I don't got time for that. So if we go to the pattern for this one, we see that it's a pretty simple pattern as well. So let's play this pattern for you. So this pattern is pretty simple, so let's listen to it all together. So now we have every pattern all together for our song, and let's listen to them kind of all stacked on top of each other. Fantastic. So now we have basically the whole song and basically every kind of part that's going to be in our song, except one last thing. So the last thing that we're going to add is some ambiance. So to get our ambiance, what we're going to need to do is we're going to download a sample. So we're going to go to Google Chrome, and we're going to go to this website right here. So this is the Sound Effects BBC website. They have a bunch of different sound effects for different contexts and different sounds. So what I chose was a cafe sound effect because I wanted it to feel like you're kind of listening to this lo-fi track in the middle of a cafe. So I find this pretty good, and there's a bunch of different options. You can find sound effects for different things. So now what we're going to do is we're going to steal it from BBC. So this is the one I chose here. So this is Copenhagen Cafe. Now what you're going to do is you're going to click here to the download button and just download it as an MP3 or a WAV file. Either of those is fine. Then once you have your MP3, you're going to pull it into FL Studio. So if we have our sample here, this is our MP3 file. All we're going to do is just pull it directly into FL Studio. So I'll show you with an example of a different MP3 file or a different WAV file. So if we see this one here, we should just click and pull over. And now we'll see that that sample is in here. So now we should be able to open it up, and it's right here. I'm going to play it for you just so that you hear how it sounds. So it's a lot of background noise with people talking, and you can't really make out what people are saying. And I think that that's definitely something that kind of vibes with lo-fi a lot, is because when you're listening to lo-fi, generally you don't want to be hearing other people's voices, and you're using it to study and for different contexts. So having kind of fewer voices in the sound and in the mix really tends to help people kind of concentrate. We're going to play it with the rest of our song, and we're going to listen to how that sounds. Awesome. So that's our lo-fi track almost completely finished. But now the last thing that we need to do is what's called arrangement. So right now it's currently arranged with everything playing all at the same time. But for it to be really kind of a song that feels complete, what you need to do is you need to bring in sections and take out sections and then have kind of transitions. Right now it could be done if you want to just listen to it on your own, if you like kind of all the sections together. But what can really kind of elevate your songs to the next level is adding that kind of arrangement and movement through the song by bringing in and out different sections. So after the break, I'll show you how to do the arrangement. Now for a word from our sponsor. Plethora. Thanks. That means a lot. Wow, what a cool sponsor. You must be such a cool, swaggy guy. Back to the music. So this is our final arrangement. So what you have here is you have our basic piano chords, and then you have our kick and our clap showing up here. Next after that is our bass with pattern 6. Next after that is our 2 hi-hats. And then below here is our two kind of melodies. And then at the bottom, we have our kind of sample that goes throughout the whole song. And this is the whole song. Plethora.